school. So we have some translation in the back. We are also live streaming this as well. Mr. Barba, how many people do we have right now currently live streaming it to?
135.
So we've got 135 people who are watching this right now. And then as well as you guys in here who came in person. So we're really excited that you guys are here with us. I'm going to introduce you to some of our staff, some of our new programs we're doing, and then I'm going to be able to help answer any of your questions. So we felt it was really important to put this back to school day, or I'm sorry, this coffee with the principal on today. We didn't have it originally scheduled. We typically would wait about a month to get into it, but because of the circumstances of where we're at, and because of being in person with a lot of the new guidelines and rules, we felt it was important to communicate with all of you, as well as our community at home. Let me go ahead and see if I can grab the mic, that way you can all hear me, okay? It's gonna be that one. It's not gonna be this one. Testing. Oh, there we go. Is that better for you? All right. We've been really busy this morning. We had our second day. All the kids came in today. We had our warm body counts, which means that we have to make sure all the kids are here at school, right? And then we also had our announcements. But we're going to get started. So again, as people come on in, we have our staff in the back. I got a special guest I want to introduce you to in a second here. But for today, we're going to do some introductions. We're going to talk about the reopening of Lexington and what that means for you and for your students. We're going to talk about, we're going to do a real thorough COVID update for you. And we're going to talk about student supported programs, some parent volunteer opportunities, and then we're going to end with some staff communication, some questions and answers. I'll stick around in case you have any questions for me. So without further ado, let's do some introductions. I'm Daniel Platzker. I am your principal. I'm calling this my first year here. For those of you guys who are 8th grade parents, you know I was the principal last year, but boy, last year looked very different than this year. So that's kind of the running joke that we have. This is my first year. I have 2 assistant principals who are new to Lexington this year. They're both here, so I want them to come on up so they can introduce themselves to you. Because these 2 are going to be the ones who your students are going to be communicating with a lot, and they are running so many of the great programs. So they're both amazing assistant principals. We'll go ahead and start with Lauren.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Great to see you here today. My name is Lauren Choi. I'm assistant principal of students with last names AQK.
Good morning. I'm Anne-Marie Bernhardt. I'm assistant principal for last names L3Z. And I've also had the pleasure of teaching here for the past 14 years. So I'm well aware of the Lexington community and families as well. So thank you.
Principals. Already they are doing amazing programs with our orientation for the 7th graders on what day was it, on Tuesday? No, yes, Tuesday. And they're already doing amazing things across the campus. But we also have an amazing counseling staff, and I want to introduce them as well. They're in the back. If you guys want to come on up, or do you want to just wave hi? Why don't you come on up? Yeah, come on up. This is Dr. Selby. I'm going to let her take the microphone.
Thank you, Mr. Platzker. I'm Denise Selby, and I'm one of the counselors. The letters of students that I serve are L3C. And like Ms. Bernhardt, I've also had the pleasure of being a teacher here a really, really long time ago. And then I also was like you because my sons went to school here as junior high kids. They're men now. And then I also had the pleasure of being a student here about 100 years ago. So the way back of the Lexington way.
Hi, I'm Brianna Plummer. I'm one of the counselors here. I also started last year in the pandemic, so this is all new for me. I'm running around with a map in my hands as well, right there with your students. And then we have one more counselor.
Hi, I'm Stacy Dim. I work with all the students whose last names are A through K. We have a lovely McKenna Peffley here. She was my student a long, long time ago, and now she's here with us as a counseling intern. And we also have Bristol Lopez, our social.
Thanks, Stacey. Hi, everyone. I'm Brista Lopez. I'm the district social worker here at Lexington. I will be here full-time, supporting the social, emotional, mental health needs of students, and you'll get to hear from me a little bit more later.
All right. We do have In addition to our counseling staff, we have a full-time school psychologist on staff, Marla Walter. She's observing classes at the moment, so if you have any questions in regarding special education, she's a great resource for you. And then the last person, well, I have two more people I'm going to introduce. Then we also have Jonathan Barba, who's working the cameras over there. He's our family and community engagement specialist. Do you want to say a couple of things about what your role is here? And Jonathan, we're fortunate this year to have Jonathan full-time. The last couple of years, Jonathan has split time between Cypress High School and Lexington. And now we have Jonathan here, and he's going to be doing some amazing, great programs for you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jonathan Barbaro. Like Mr. Clacker said, I was split between Lexington and Cypress. This is my 5th school year. First year going to be full-time at Lexington, so I'm really happy. My role is to connect parents with resources in the community and within the school, and also kind of help with parent meetings and parent workshops. So if anybody has ever gone through the Parent Leadership Academy or any of the district parent meetings, I'll continue pushing out those messages, and we'll be having those here at Lexington as well. We're now thankful that we have a Parent Resource Center, which is room 201 right after the line. So you guys will get to see me a lot, and I'll get to bug you guys a lot with messages and phone calls at night.
All right. Thank you, Jonathan. This year, we're working in partnership with Cypress PD. So Cypress PD went and got a grant. It's through tobacco and tobacco education, and they are now working in partnership with AUHSD for 3 of our schools that are here in Cypress. Lexington Junior High School, Oxford, and Cypress High School. So I'd like to introduce Officer Angus Yu, who's going to be our SRO, our Student Resource Officer, so he can introduce himself to you as well.
I didn't think I would be speaking in front of people this morning, but my name's Officer Yu. I'm the School Resource Officer. Like he said that I'm going to be roaming from Cypress High School, Lexington, Oxford. So my focus is going to be on tobacco prevention and education. Thank you.
We're excited to be partnering with the Cypress Police Department. And Officer Yu is really here to help educate and build relationships. He'll be here 1 day a week. He'll be around campuses. He'll be over at Oxford and Cypress. He'll be able to help us when we want to do educational programming with students, when we want to talk about vaping, tobacco, when we're going to talk about cell phone usage and appropriate cell phone usage. He's a great resource for us to have when we want to do guest speakers, going into classrooms and speaking to the students. We're really excited that we have this opportunity. So let's talk about our reopening. We are in all classroom, as you know. We have 1,200 students out there, and let me tell you, lunch was fun yesterday. We even had an extended lunch so that they could do some community building. And we are going to make a couple tweaks here and there to make sure they get through those lunch lines fast, but it was definitely educational for us this year. Remember, our bell schedule has changed, so if you do not remember, it's 8 o'clock now. That hasn't changed that much to 2:25. If you have a student at the high school level and here, or even at the elementary school level, you probably need to start coordinating all those pickups and drop-offs, and that's probably what you're doing right now. So they get out a little bit later. They get out at 3:17, I believe, at the high school level, and they start later. I believe they start at 8:30. So it's a little bit of a difference, a little bit of a change, but I think that once you guys get into the routine, you'll be all right. So here's our opportunity and our challenge. We have 2 grade levels that have never been here before, 7th and 8th graders. So we did invite a lot of the 8th graders to our campus last year. Not everybody took the tours, but we had that opportunity. We had a lot of people on our campus for pods. Those were enrichment courses. We had the most in the district. It was fantastic. We had all of the students here for summer enrichment programs. But even with all of those opportunities, we still have a lot of 8th graders that hadn't been here. So we have that challenge of getting them to their classes. And I gotta tell you, we had all the kids in their classes within 10 minutes yesterday. Except for a few stragglers, and we were helping them along the way. Our teachers were amazing. And today, they were all in their classes within 30 seconds. I'm telling you, I walked outside and there was nobody out there. It was a ghost town. The other thing, if you haven't had an opportunity at the end of our presentation today, I'm gonna open up the doors here so you can look out on our quad. Over last year, there's a little picture of it over here. I usually put it up on all of my backgrounds. Last year, with no students here, we were able to regrow the grass. So we were able to grow the grass, and if you were here prior, or if you had a child that's in high school now, you know that it was all dirt, and that the lunch tables were on dirt. So I'm gonna open up the door so you can take a look, because we're retraining the students, and it looks like a park. So the ASB students have put together signs, are all over, that says, you know, please be kind, stay off the flowers, we're growing here. And all the kids are being trained to walk through the path. And they're doing it. It's great. You should see them. And it looks beautiful out there. And we're going to continue that process of having them respect the grass. And it looks really great. So these are our opportunities. We have opportunities to share with the kids kind of a new way of doing junior high and being kind to one another. We have these opportunities and we're taking advantage of it, especially these first 3 days of school. We are doing a lot of community building. All of our teachers are doing icebreakers, even for the 8th graders and 7th graders. Our science classes were walking all of the 8th graders. The 2 science classes were walking 8th graders around yesterday, giving them tours. Did anybody have a tour for the 8th grade students? We are going ahead and doing kindness videos. We have an activity today that all students are going to participate in so they can get to know one another. We're going to be passing out their student planners, which look like this. They're beautiful. This was art from last year. And on Monday, all the teachers are going to take a section of the student planner through the periods, and they're going to go over all of the expectations. And then finally on Thursday, administration is going to go into all of the PE courses, and they're going to talk about our expectations. And those are all the fun things like dress code and cell phone usage and things of that nature, especially when we have a lot of kids who need reminding. There was a lot of cell phones over the last year and a half. So we're constantly at lunch because we have a no cell phone policy. We want our cell phones in the backpacks and put away. So we're just reminding them right now. We're kind of reteaching them how to do school again. And that's okay. And that's part of the process of opportunity. In addition to that, we have hired 4 to 5 new teachers because we've taken our class course sizes that were last year 33, 34, and most of our math, science, English, and history classes are hovering right around 30 kids. So we've been able to add a few new teachers. We've added a few new electives. We've added another section of robotics. We added another almost full teacher for art. We added almost a full teacher for art classes. We have full choir and band sections. We have full CTE sections. So we were able to utilize these new teachers and the smaller class sizes, and we've been able to expand our electives, which is really fantastic. In addition to that, we have the additional counseling support with Ms. Plummer. We have our full-time social worker, Ms. Lopez, and we're really trying to make mental health a priority. Ultimately, what we're doing is Lexington is a great school. We already know Lexington is a fantastic school. And we are trying to maintain, keep that culture, promote those opportunities, and we're gonna make it, we're just gonna have a great year together. And we're really excited that we're here in person. You should see the kids smiling and the teachers smiling. And I hope that your kids came home yesterday and they were excited. I really do. So this is what we did to get ready. We had 4 days of prep time with our teachers. The first day, the days were spent doing community building, reintroducing teachers, again, to each other. Let me share that our teachers have not been on campus for 18 months. So they needed time to work through the COVID challenges. So we did a lot of community building with our teachers. We did a lot of social emotional learning for 2 straight days about how to reach out to students who are experiencing trauma. What do we do when? How do we take care of ourselves? Self-care, really important for you, for us at home. And I hope you're practicing self-care, and I hope your kids are practicing self-care. We had all types of activities inside here. We talked about our goals and our missions for the year. All of our departments made posters about how they want to align their vision with our school vision, with our district vision. As you can see, these are a couple of the examples from math and English. And really our focus this year is going to be really about flexibility, compassion, and bringing kids back into the fold again. Let's switch gears. Let's talk a little bit about COVID. This is a big topic. We just got some news yesterday, right? If you've been paying attention to the news, I'll share a little bit with you. But this is a serious thing that we're going to be talking about, and I wanted to give some time to it. So I will stop after this presentation, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them regarding COVID. So a couple of the guidelines we are following in our district, the California Department of Public Health. Okay, that is good. That is our mantra. That is what we are following. We get our guidelines from our district office. They share it with us, and then we go ahead and we implement it. We disinfect and sanitize measures twice a day in the high-touch areas, the cafeterias, the restroom. So in the afternoon and during the daytime, our plant manager and our custodial staff goes around campus with the disinfecting high-touch areas. That means doorknobs, bathrooms, inside the bathrooms, all of our office outside doorknobs all over the campus. So they do it between 9 and 11 in the morning, and they do it in the afternoon when everybody's gone. In addition to that, all of our classrooms are disinfected daily with our nighttime custodial staff as they go through the classrooms. They have a spray, they spray down the entire class. As the mist comes down, it kills everything. And that happens once a day. Additionally, we had HVAC upgrades. We have a new air filtration system, masking. We can talk about masks in a second. We have hand washing stations located all around campus. Each teacher has sanitizer dispensers that look like this inside the classrooms. All the teachers have disinfecting wipes at their disposal, and they also have use of a disinfecting spray. And there is, again, like I said, I shared before, the sanitation schedule. When we find out about kids who might have been exposed or tested positive, or teachers and staff who've been exposed and tested positive, the fact is that we know that rates are climbing. We know this. There is a process and a protocol in place. We have a process that we have a Google Doc that gets sent to our district regarding students exposure, and then we do some contact tracing for students. In addition, we also have that for staff as well. And the handout that I passed out to you is the Orange County Department of Health official guidelines for how we do our contact, what the protocol and process is for us. Okay, it looks like this. For those of you at home who are live streaming this, we will have this on our website so that you can take a look at this. It may not be posted there. But we have this student system decision tree, and our healthcare, our health clerk has been trained, and we send the students up there, and she goes through a series of questions, and then we make a determination based on the guidelines. I'm not going to read through the whole entire thing, but I wanted to share this with you because it's an important topic and you need to know. There are decision-making for when it's yes, decision for making when it's no, important decision-making when in the red at the bottom, when they are showing symptoms or no symptoms, or a family member had COVID or whatever it might be. But to help mitigate that, this is a really important piece. We are requiring that all of our students and staff wear masks inside. These are the guidelines. So everybody should be wearing the mask, and the mask should be the type of mask that I see in our audience, okay, that all of our parents are wearing. Not the ones with the valves, okay, so, and not the ones that are, what are they called, the gaiters, right? The ones that look like scarves. If a student comes in with a gaiter or a mask with a little valve or a no mask, it's no problem. We have tons of masks, we simply give them a mask. The expectation is that all kids are wearing them inside the classroom and they are pulled up over their nose. Outside, it is optional. So there is no social distancing outside. And the reason why we are requiring the masks inside is so that we can fit 30 kids in a classroom, because if we weren't wearing masks inside, then we wouldn't be able to have the desks near each other. So I actually feel like with the masks inside, this is a great, we're back to normal again. And when you look in the classrooms, they are teaching and the kids are learning. And we're helping to accommodate some of our students and our teachers that need a little bit more accommodations because of the masks. But everybody is following it. In addition to that, we opened up only 3 entrances into the campus for students to come in. It's a change from last year. Last year we had 4, or 2 years ago. And you probably remember that an entrance over by Arnold was open so kids could walk across the field. Let me share the reason why. We need to monitor all the kids as they come in. We need to make sure that they have masks, and we only have so many personnel. So if we have kids walking across that grass, then they have access to the entire back campus, and we're not able to monitor them. But we recognize that a lot of parents drop off over by the tennis courts. So that entrance is still open, and we do have somebody in the back of campus helping to watch those kids come in. It's easier to watch kids come in from one entrance than 2 full entrances back there. So they walk along, and they have 2 entrances at the front, one for the bike racks area, and one at the main entrance where I'm at. And all of our administrators and our campus security are out there monitoring it the whole time. Now, at the end of the day, we open up all the gates. We're like, okay, 2:30, you're done. go home. So they go home and we get them on out. So they're able to walk across the field and go home. Yesterday, you saw that it was pretty crowded, right? It was a little crazy yesterday at the end of school. We actually, believe it or not, I was talking to my campus security at the end, and I asked him, how long does it take normally for the traffic to die down? And he said, about 20 minutes. It's about 20 minutes, and you know what? It was about 20 minutes, 20, 25 minutes. But I think that because we've been out for 18 months, that we have forgotten how many kids and how crazy it can be. But really, it was only about 15, 20 minutes. So plan on coming early. Our gates open up for kids to come in at 7:15. They can get some breakfast. Okay, it's 7:20. You know, if you're here at 7th period, by 2 o'clock, there's a line of cars. There's a line of cars all the way down. So just know that second lane, we have to keep it moving. We just have to keep it moving. So you might be in like a flight pattern for a little while. And then when a spot opens up, you can pick up your son or daughter. But I think that you'll figure out a routine that fits best with your family. The last thing is that students should bring their own water bottles to fill in our water stations. We have fill stations that were installed everywhere. They're really nice. If your son or daughter does not have a bottle, we'll be happy to give them a Lexington bottle for them. Okay? They just need to come up to an administrator and we'll be happy to get them one. They're really nice. You guys have any questions at all about the COVID updates? The seriousness of it, what we're doing. I have one more thing I want to share with you regarding the latest COVID update. But at this point, I'll open it up to some questions for you. If you have any questions for me right now regarding some of our guidelines. Yes.
Exposed to COVID and have to stay on quarantine, what protocols do they have for takeover?
It's a great question. So all of our teachers are going to be utilizing eCadence. So it's a process. So eCadence is our learning platform that we instituted last year. It's not Schoology or Schoology. eCadence is a combination of various things. So what they're going to be doing is eventually they will have this in place so that when your child is at home, they'll be able to go on the eCadence and see what they have been missing. In addition, when they're out and they're quarantined, they're out verified. It's not unverified. So they have opportunities to make up assignments or homework. And a large part of it really is just communicating with the teacher. My son or daughter has been out, they're out until this date. What do they need to do to make up whatever work they have that's going on? And the teachers are amazing. They'll be able to communicate with you. Any other questions, COVID related? All right, so I saved this one because I'm not sure So there was a public health order yesterday from Governor Newsom. You probably heard this in the news. It's one of those things I'd rather get out in front of rather than go, what is the school district going to do? What's going to happen? This just came out yesterday, so I can only give you as much as I know. And what I know is this, is that the public health order is requiring all school employees in public and private K-12 schools to verify vaccinations or to test on a weekly basis, but it is left up to the district. And it does not need to be implemented, it takes place August 12th, but it does not need to be required until October 15th. So with that in mind, there is a process for this. So, you know, I know that our ed division is going to be working carefully with our board of trustees, and they're going to be working through this process and then sharing with us in terms of our own staff on how that is going to work. That's about all the guidance I can share with you right now, because we're just going to continue to follow state and district guidance on this. Are there any questions in regards to this? Yes.
Could you repeat the question earlier for the people in the chat about the e-cadence?
The question earlier was about if a student has to be quarantined and staying at home for X number of days, how will they be able to make up their homework and their past assignments? And the answer is two things. One is e-cadence, which is the electronic system, and the other one is just the communication with the teachers. And they will always have an opportunity to make up in the past. He's monitoring chats. So as they come in, he's going to be asking me questions as well. All right. Moving past COVID. So we got a couple of new things that are happening. Lunch and breakfast is free. And I'm going to tell you that's amazing. It's also a little crazy. You know, we had so many kids going through the lunch line yesterday. Poor Miss Bernhard and Miss Troy in the back. They were like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of kids coming through. So it is a learning curve right now, but it is free. But we do encourage you to continue filling out the free and reduced meal application. There is a lot of benefits to doing so, especially when it comes to students in the high school level with AP tests and whatnot. And it also, in addition to that, our district does receive benefits from this, and it helps support a lot of our schools. So I just want to share that with you. Make sure that your kids bring their student IDs on a day-to-day basis. That's how they do get through the lunch line faster. And you can encourage them, and if they say, well, it was so slow the other day, just say, encourage your friends to bring their IDs too, because that's how it'll get really fast through the lunch lines. All right, preparing at home. I have Ms. Lopez here as our social worker. She's going to share a couple of tips with you about how to prepare your students at home.
Hi, everyone. Like I said, my name is Brista Lopez, and I am the district social worker. And really quick disclaimer, I'm having issues with this contact. So if you see me like this or like rolling my eyes, it's not you. I just needed to throw that out there because I'm definitely going to be like this really throughout this. So how many of you, just by raise of hands, know or have heard of what a school social worker is? Okay, so a handful. So this is good. I'm glad I'm up here. So I'm going to give you some tips for preparing your students and continuing to prepare them. Some of you may have seen me present at last year's Coffee with the Principal. But just really quick, this is the little graphic that students are going to be getting in their emails via Aries Communication. And I'm just going to be introducing myself to them and hopefully at some point going into the classrooms, just letting them know who I am so they can see my face and telling them what I can do and what I can offer for them. So that's what they're going to get. It even shows where my office is, and it's in 408 all the way by the basketball court, so they can walk in at any time. And again, I'll explain why they may want to do that. So before we get into it, really quickly, our students are kind of pivoting. Some of them may be excited, some of them may be really nervous. I know when they were walking around looking at their little maps yesterday, it was a little chaotic for them. And so as they're getting used to this new normal, the new routines of being an in-person school, it's really, really helpful for them to have a consistent structure and routine. I'm sure all of you know that. I think it kind of goes without saying, but when they have something that they can sort of rely on, they know what to expect. They know this is my bedtime, this is when my alarm goes off, this is what I need to do before bed. I'm going to grab these things, and that's really consistent. That's going to be so helpful in keeping them sort of on track. As soon as it starts kind of going off the rails, it's hard to get them back on track, right? Okay, so get informed of the new systems and talk about them. So a lot of students will come in and they're like, wait, what's going on? And some of them may not have known that they had to wear masks all day. I'm not sure. So just keep informed and then let them know so that they have a heads up. Some of our students and a lot of the ones that I work with, the shocks or the things that they weren't aware of ahead of time, it can be hard for them to pivot around. So just making sure that they know what's going on. And then acknowledge their worries and address any barriers. So they may have some worries that you as parents are thinking, that's not something we need to worry about. I don't understand why there's this level of concern around this topic. Maybe, maybe not. But we just want to acknowledge them as what is happening because that's how they're experiencing it. And I've noticed with students I work with, just saying things like, oh, that is kind of hard. Oh, I didn't realize you had to go through X, Y, and Z during the day. And addressing barriers and helping them problem solve through them is going to be so helpful. And really just any problem solving that they do come across throughout this school year. And again, none of them have been on campus, so this is all new for them, right? Okay, so encourage relationships outside of school. Again, I feel like I'm preaching in the choir, and you all already know this. But many of them have been isolated for the past year and a half. So they're excited to come see all of their friends at school, but when they go home again, they may be isolated again. So they're only really getting that passing period interaction with students. So I highly, highly recommend keeping in touch with other parents of their friends at school and setting up things on the weekends so they can maintain that interaction. And that'll really help build those social skills, those social cues, those social norms, all of that. Okay, and then inform them of supports in place at school. I am going to inform you so that you can inform them if they do have questions. And then lastly, lower expectations and prioritize compassion. Again, I think we know that. And we said Lexington is an amazing school, and it can be easy to say, all right, we got to do this and this and this, and it's got to look like this and this and this. So we want to meet them where they're at. So they're not coming in with these extra things that they need to be overwhelmed by, and really just going in with that level of compassion and you just saying, all right, that's the best you can do, and that's enough. That may be it. That may be all they need to hear, and then they're like, all right, yep, I'm going for all A's. Cool, thanks, Mom. I don't know. And then, so I do have a professional Instagram that I started for the students last year, and this was just to kind of meet them where they're at and engage with them on their level. So most of them, not all, I realize, are on Instagram or maybe TikTok. I have both of those, and so I will put out little informational memes or videos for them just to kind of promote that mental health literacy. So keeping them informed of, again, what I do, answering questions. A lot of them had a lot of questions when they were meeting with me just about the different maybe mental health concerns, or what does the panic attack look like? How do I know that I'm experiencing this? What can I do in the case of this? So I will give tools and different strategies that they can use, and then informational sort of things. So keep an eye on it. Also give email to them. So if they don't have a social media, that's okay. It will come in their email, and I send it to parents as well. So I'm trying to be more on top of that. Okay, so this is an example of a couple of the posts that I had for them. So building a life-proof routine. I'm really hoping they saw this one, but I'm guessing they didn't, and that the chances of them actually implementing it probably even lower. But these are some strategies that I gave for the students. So setting a bedtime reminder on their phone, if they have their phone at night, it'll ding when it's time for them to get ready for bed, and that's something they can kind of rely on, right? Setting aside 30 minutes in the morning to get ready. I think we all know when we actually leave the house ready, it sets our mindset for the day. So when kids are leaving with their hairbrush, their teeth brushed, and they're ready to go, that's going to prepare them for learning. So I saw a lot of them in their fancy new first day of school outfits. So I think they're already doing that. Okay, allow yourself at least 1 hour of self-care. So I'm a social worker. We talk about self-care all the time. We kill that word, self-care. Some of us are just kind of over it. But I really encourage them when they're learning how to manage their time, that they're not spending all night on homework and not all night doing something like video games. So it's self-care for me, when I teach to them, it's very intentional. So it's all about, what is this doing for me? So for example, say they're exercising as a form of self-care. For us, we may exercise because we ate 15 cupcakes the night before. You know, that's not self-care necessarily, that's like guilt and shame because we feel so awful. We're like, we need to make up for it. When we exercise to improve our mental health and improve our focus and make sure we're not crazy monsters throughout the day, that is self-care. So I really encourage students to find something that really perks them up and refuels them or recharges their batteries, something that they can do consistently. It's going to be helpful, and it helps them get their homework done faster too. Okay, make lists and use a planner. So they get these beautiful planners. Really encourage them to write everything down. I know it's hard for them to have things in so many places, and you see their binders and there's papers everywhere and they're falling out and they're all like ripped. So just have them write everything down in one place. And as they go through their list, their tasks, cross it off. That's going to be really helpful. I think you all already know that. And then things that just help them, again, kind of get rid of the chaos in their brain is tidying up their room before they go to bed, getting ready for the morning the night before, so they're not having to do everything all in the morning, because I'm sure for some of you, it's hard to pull them out of bed. You're like ready to throw water on their faces. So make sure all of that is laid out the night before so they don't have to even think about it. Okay, last slide for me. So I posted, or I'm going to post this one today, I believe. So when students need to talk to somebody, maybe they're at school, and if you're comfortable with it, they are able to go and do that. So if they ever raise their hand and talk to their teacher and say, I need to go talk to somebody, I need to go see my counselor, that is always okay. So what they will do, they inform their teacher will give them a hall pass, and they will go to the counseling office and talk to their counselor. From there, they can let the counselor know what's going on, and the counselor will decide, is this something that I can help you with, or do I need to pull in the social worker? So if it's a little bit more severe or more on the mental health side of things, the counselor is going to pull me in. And so that's when they can come back to my office and talk to me about what's going on, and then I'll send them back to class when they're feeling ready. So the difference between us, counselors are more of the academic support. They do offer that little piece of social emotional support. You know, if kids come in and they're freaking out about how they're going to get all of their homework done, or they don't know how to prepare for this test and they're just not good test takers, counselors will help them out with that. However, when it goes a step beyond, that is out of counselor's scope of practice. So then it comes to me. I'm a licensed therapist functioning in the role of a school social worker. So that just means that I'm able to provide that therapeutic support here on campus. So it kind of takes away the whole, okay, well, counselors, I don't know what to do. Parents, you need to go just take it to a therapist. We may be saying, isn't there something in between? You know, we don't maybe want to send them right that route. And so that's what I'm here for. And it's, I'm sure you already know this, but it's no cost. They can come see me anytime. So I usually have a little caseload of students that I meet with regularly, and we do that therapeutic support. I call it mini therapy. And I just give them, again, those communication skills, stress management strategies, coping skills, psychoeducation, all of that sort of thing. If I determine that, you know what, I think this student needs a little bit more support, and this is going beyond my scope of practice, I will talk to parents and I will say, hey, I think therapy might be an option. Therapist is going to be that ongoing therapy support, once a week, 50 minutes a week, long-term. So if whatever students are coming up with can't be resolved in about 6 sessions or so of meeting with me, then I'm going to be talking to you about that. And just so you know, students are able to come to my office anytime, but if I do decide, I think they're going to meet with you regularly, I will always contact parents and get your consent before I do that. But they are able to come and meet with me, and I assist in any sort of mental health crises as well. So, any questions or anything? Okay, that means I explained it really well then. All right, thank you all. I hope to see you all throughout the year.
Thank you, Ms. Lopez. There's a lot of misconception and misunderstanding when we talk to parents and we say, well, we have a social worker here on campus. And the perception of what a social worker is on campus, puts a lot of like red flags or alarms for parents a lot of the time. But it's not like that. She really is a support for the student's social emotional health. And that's what it really is. She's working within the capacity of the school. So we work very closely with her. So a couple of quick items before we go ahead and wrap up. Ms. Choi, who is our AP over technology, will go through this last little sections fairly quickly, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up and do some Q&A.
All right, everybody, technology checkout. So if you wish for your student to have a device in order to use at home, you may check a device out from the school. There is a form that needs to be signed. It's a user agreement along with an insurance form. So two forms that need to be signed and returned in order for the student to be able to check out a device. At the end of the school year, the devices and all the accessories that come with it do need to be returned. And so when it comes time, if you do choose to check out a device for your student, we'll check on areas to see if there is an outstanding device already checked out to you. And so just keep in mind that if there's a charge, it does need to be paid before. I think if you need the device, we'll go ahead and probably give you the device anyway to check out, but eventually the charge will need to be paid. September 2nd and September 3rd, those are the 2 days that we've designated to check out devices to you. It's not from 8 to 3, I'm sorry, that's a typo there. On September 2nd, it will be, I believe, from 8 o'clock to 1 o'clock. And then on September 3rd from 1 to 4. Try to give you some options for when you can come to school, morning versus afternoon on 2 separate days. More to come on the Monday memo.
Questions for technology?
Yes.
Can the student pick it up or does the parent?
As long as we have that form, those 2 forms signed, the student can pick it up. Yes. Any other questions?
Okay, don't go anywhere. Student support. So we have some options for student support.
Question on the technology. If they filled out the Chromebook agreement that was emailed last month, do they need to submit it again?
We just need to have a copy of it. So I would say probably not, as long as we have a copy of it. The question is if the person filled out the form already, do they need to fill it out again? And my answer is no, as long as we have a copy of it here at the school site. Yes?
I'm sorry, when they take it home, do they have to bring it back every day?
No, they do not. They do not need to bring it back every day. It's more for students to use at home because they don't have a device at home and they want to get on to e-cadence.
All of our teachers have Chromebooks in all of their classrooms. So they will not need to bring it back and forth from school to home.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Okay, so moving on to student support. We have a lot of student support here on campus as kind of you go through the year and you want to make sure your kids are not falling behind or maybe they need some additional support. You heard from Ms. Lopez, some of the social and emotional support we're offering. But in terms of subject-specific tutoring, we have Check and Connect Tuesdays and Thursdays. They're in our second period. Oh, that was from Check and Connect. Yeah, we're going to take that one out. Boys and Girls Club is offering after-school programming and they pick up from the school, and it is paid. But we do have this year YMCA after-school program. I'm not sure if your kids are involved in that. We had applications during our registration process. They're here free after school for 3 hours. It's a great program. They do enrichment, they feed them, they do study support. After school, we're going to have the tutoring and homework club. We're working through the hours and the time, and that's in the library. We have the additional counseling support, and then of course we have teachers meeting students before and after school throughout the entire year. So we have all of those student supports that we're going to continue to offer throughout the year as they kind of get back into curriculum again, and they get back into the rigor of school, the instructional pieces, because we know all of our kids are coming at different places. A lot of our teachers are doing a lot of scaffolding this week and next week. Next week, they're going to talk about where their kids are at, coming from different elementary schools and last year, and then where they need to go. So there's going to be a lot of rebuilding and scaffolding, okay? So you should be getting a lot of communication from the teachers. The last thing is intramurals. Is Ms. Bernhardt here? She is in the back. So Ms. Bernhardt, who oversees athletics and all of our activities, this is a really important piece. We want to make sure you are aware of the sports and all of the things that we can get your kids involved in.
Hello again. So yes, as you can see up there, we have sports every quarter, if you will. The dates are up there as well. First quarter, which is right now, we have our co-ed flag football, boys tennis, and girls volleyball. And that's going to start August 16th. There will be announcements in the morning, morning announcements for the students, so they know where to meet, where to go, how to sign up and get that information. But they got to listen to the announcements too. So remind them that that's going to be coming up starting next week. And there'll probably be something starting tomorrow, so they're aware of it as well. Second quarter, which is going to be October 18th through the end of the semester, December 13th. We have boys basketball, girls tennis, girls soccer. And then third quarter, we have cross country, which is boys and girls, boys soccer, girls basketball. In the last quarter, we have boys volleyball, girls softball, boys and girls track. These are a great way for your students to interact, get involved. It's a very positive atmosphere out there, and I cannot say enough to encourage them to just try something. Get out there and try it, get involved, and have fun. All of our teachers here, not all of our teachers, all of the coaches here are teachers here. So there'll be familiar faces for them as well. So like I said, it's a great way for them to get involved, encourage them to come out, make sure they're listening to the announcements as well. They know where to go and how to do that. And if they think they missed it, just have them ask. We'll help them get up there so they know where to go. All right? Any questions? Yes. It's after school. So they'll start to meet probably starting like between 2:30, 2:40 after school. They'll tell them where to meet. And then the sports will actually, they give them time if they need to change or whatever they're doing. Depending on what the sport is, the coaches will tell them all the information. But
in addition to that, our intramural sports are working with the YMCA program. So if your child is in the YMCA program, they are able to do intramurals and do both at the same time.
Is it like a tryout process, or does every kid get to play?
Everyone is welcome to come out. There is a tryout process, if you will, because there's not enough spots for everyone to come out there with all of the sports. But some of them, we do have a lot of openings, so just encourage them to come out and try.
And then the competition is with the other junior high schools in our
Yes.
district.
Yeah, so they'll be playing other schools within our district.
Is there any cost affected with the?
No. Not to my knowledge.
Start exactly on 16th, because I haven't taken
Just have him or her go out and have them go out to the meetings just so they know what's going on.
So on the bottom, we actually have added one more intramural director, co-intramural directors now. Mr. Elliott, who is a science teacher on campus. Mr. Elliott is a science teacher on campus. He's been the athletic or the intramural director for a while. He's now sharing duties with Lisa Shandy, who is our PE department chair. So you can email either one of those two teachers and they will answer all of your questions. So Mr. Elliott's email is up on the screen, and Ms. Shandy's email is Shandy, SHANDY_L, and she's in our directory. So you can email both. All right, and the last slide that we have is for you. It's parent opportunities, right? Really, you are so important to helping cultivate our community here and making Lexington a great place to be, right? It's not just the students and the staff, but it's also you. It's also the parents. We have a lot of parent opportunities. We have a huge PTSA that we would like you to be involved in. We have our school site council that happens once a quarter. I've already have a ton of applications for the school site council. We only have 3 parents that sit on the school site council board. And that's met with classified staff and teachers, and we talk about a lot of the monies that are in the school. So I already have a lot of applications for that, but you can certainly talk to me about that. We have the Superintendent Parent Advisory Committee that meets once a quarter. We have our DLAC Advisory Committee, which meets at the district. I'm sure they're going to talk about that in our ELAC conversation after this. We have our coffees with the principal. Like I said before, this is a special coffee with the principal. And the reason why is we wanted to give you a lot of updates, right? We gave you a lot of stuff today. And we're going on almost an hour, and I'm sure you still have more questions than I can answer. But the future coffee with the principals are going to be very thematic. They're going to be about talking about academics or counseling, one dedicated to that. It might be about testing. It might be about parent resources. It might be about just general updates, but they are going to be dedicated to a certain thing, right, that you might be interested in learning more about. But we invite all of you, and they're going to be here on campus. And I love the fact that we're live streaming. I just asked Mr. Barber how many people are live streaming. He said over about 150 people. So the 150 people live streaming, and with all of you in here, we have a great opportunity to reach a lot of parents. That's fantastic. And then, of course, we have our parent morning walks, and then Mr. Barbo can share a little bit more about the Parent Leadership Academy. Do you want to share that now, or are you going to just have information be sent out?
We'll send out information via email.
Okay, now Parent Leadership Academy is for you to engage and cultivate your own leadership and working with your students and working within the school. The final thing is upcoming events. Mark your calendars, please. Can you believe it? August 25th is our back to school night. That's like 2 weeks. That's 2 weeks. Generally runs from about 6 to about 7:30. We're going to give you a lot of information regarding back to school night. We have our back to school celebration here on campus 2 days afterwards, August 27th. We have a club rush for opportunities for students to get involved in various clubs and programs on campus coming up quickly. And if that's not all, we have the Lion Paw Awards that we're doing each month. So we had the orientation, we had the opening of schools, and boom, now we have back to school night. Ms. Choi is very, very, very busy right now, as is Ms. Bernhardt. So we're all working really, really hard to get all these off the ground for you. If you guys have any questions, back to school night will be on campus, if that's a question for anybody. We generally start from 6 to 7:30 in the classrooms, but we do our opening piece around 5:30. And you'll get that information out. And yeah, we typically will go to 7:30-ish. But we have our opening piece with the principal, and we have little ceremonial type stuff at about 5:30. Make sure you come early because we usually get a lot of parents here, okay? All right, any questions at all about that? Any questions at all, period?
I have a question.
Sure.
Regarding about the elective classes, do they have to keep it for a full year or they could change it and keep them in like it?
Electives? So the question is about electives, right? If they're stuck in an elective for 4 years, at the high school level and the junior high are two different types of, they go two different ways. At the junior high, the schedules that your students have right now in terms of electives, they are set. Most of our electives for the junior high level are semester courses in the 7th grade year. So they will have an opportunity to have another elective at the end, but they're back-to-back courses. So they don't get to choose another elective at this particular point. Band and choir, those are year-long courses. If they don't want to be in that band or choir or another, they want to choose, they'll have an opportunity when they go into the next grade level to choose a whole new set of electives. You always have an opportunity during registration. If you have an 8th grade student, and we only offer this to our 8th grade students, and the 8th grade student has an elective that they do not want to have, then you need to communicate with us, and the only option is to make them a TA. And they can work in the office as a TA, or they can work with one of the teachers if they so choose. But otherwise, the electives are set for the year.
The 7th graders, they have to stay with the ones they teach already.
Correct, correct. Any other questions?
No dances this year?
That's a great question. We are looking into that. Like our first activity is our back to school festivity. We do have dances. Dances can work as long as there's no food or drink inside, which we don't typically do anyways. They'd be outside. And of course, the main rule is to have masks on. We have sports, we have assemblies, and if we have all of these other pieces of student engagement and activities, then we're going to get more guidance, but I can understand why we would have dances as well. Any other questions? Yes. To join ASB class? So the question is regards to ASB. So ASB does an enrollment process, but it's also part of our student body. So there's an even more detailed process to join ASB. Ms. Heck, who is our ASB advisor, will send out information to all of the students if you wish to participate and be a part of ASB. We have elected officials, right? We have our president, our vice president, but we also have appointed in various roles, right? ASB is a wonderful opportunity, and all that information comes out in the middle of the year. So if you have a 7th grader who's going into 8th grade, you can do that in the middle of the year. You just need to be ready for registration. And if you're going into 9th grade, it's the same thing. ASB at Cypress it's the same process. Other questions? Yes.
Could you talk about late start dates on when we have those? And also backpacks. Do kids need to bring all their books to school? Because the backpacks get very heavy with all the books.
Absolutely. So we've had a lot of questions regarding backpacks and lockers. We do not have lockers here at Lexington. Every student is going to get a planner, okay? Our planner has the outline of all of our dates. Our late starts are Thursdays, okay? Late starts are Thursdays. And in regards to textbooks, your teachers will guide your students in the classroom as to whether or not they need to bring the textbook daily or they need to leave them at home. And right now, there are only 3 textbooks that the 7th grade class has to worry about: history, math, and science. If they have a novel, novels are very small. And if they're taking Spanish also has a textbook in the 8th grade. So your teachers will guide you, okay? And is Ms. Bernhardt still here? She might have stepped out. I was gonna ask her to give you some experience with the math. But again, those teachers will let you know whether or not to keep the math books at home or to bring them on a daily basis or whatever it might be. So that'll be communicated with your kids. Yes. No, oh, that's a great question. I just assumed everybody knew what late start is. I've been doing it for so long. Late start is basically a time on Thursday where the kids come at a later time. Off the top of my head, they changed the bell schedule, so I have to look it up. Jonathan, do you know the exact time for late start? Here it is. So late start, I need some help with the time for late start on one of the bell schedules.
8:30. I think it's 8:30.
Is it 8:30? I have to look it up for sure because they adjust the bell schedules. So late start basically is the time in the morning for the staff to do professional development. So you might have heard of early release, maybe back in the elementary school, there would have been early release. So it's just the opposite. There we go. Thank you so much. It's 8:50. Okay, so it's generally about 45 minutes, 50 minutes, and we do professional development with our teachers. We have various things that we do. It might be department time, it might be all staff meetings, it might be professional focus groups. And then the kids' first period class will start at 8:50. So that means that you need to start thinking about when the drop-off will be about 8:30. Okay, and then that way they're on campus and they start the periods at 8:50. Now, those classes are almost the same time because they do not have an SSR attached to it. SSR stands for Sustained Silent Reading, and it is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and it's attached to sixth period. So you'll see that in your bell schedule. And I love how we do SSR here. It's after lunch. So the kids are crazy. They've had their food. They're running around. Some kids are playing basketball. Okay, they're doing all their things. And then they have SSR right at the beginning of sixth period. And our teachers use that time period to calm them all down and get them back into school again. Some of our teachers use some mindfulness activities, some meditation activities. All of our teachers will have them do silent reading, right? They'll have book libraries in their classroom libraries of novels. Some teachers, if they need to do some more worksheets or do some fun activities or things like that, but that's all quiet work. And then we start sixth period again. And now they're back into the groove of teaching and learning again. This happens Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. But on Thursday, because of late start, we don't have SSR. So that keeps the time, the minutes in the classroom almost the same. Well, we're open, right, so you're confused. So we're open because all of our staff are here by 7:30. So, but the arrival of students is not until around 8:30. We do have limited staff that are on campus, right? We have our campus security, but all of our staff, we're all engaged in professional development at that time. So we want our parents to drop their kids off at like, 8:15, 8:20. But if you're dropping them off at 7:15, there's nobody here because we don't have, all of our staff are going to be working at that particular point. So I know that might mean that you need to figure out how you're going to do your schedules at home.
How the lunch there time work? Because they say that sometimes they not even have the time to eat because it's a huge lunch and sometimes there's a lot of food.
Yeah, great. So the point we have, so the question was regarding lunch. How does lunch work? So as I shared earlier, this is the first time we're offering free food for all the kids. And we have 7th and 8th graders that all came in at the same time. So it was definitely a learning curve for us yesterday. So with 1,200 kids trying to get through the lunch line, it took a little bit of time to get them through. But there will be enough food for all of the kids to go through the lunch line. We serve one hot meal. We have other hot meals, but we serve one special hot meal a day. There's typically a salad bar. And then there's also other types of foods, burritos or quesadillas or cheeseburgers, or one day it's nachos. And when it's nachos, the line is like out the door. It's like down like 2 buildings. So what ends up happening is they need their student IDs. And once the kids get into the group of the student IDs, and we tweaked a couple of things to get them through the lines faster. So I appreciate you being patient with us as we kind of work through this piece of the free lunches and having to get 1,200 kids through the lines. Lunch is 30 minutes. It's at 12:30, or I'm sorry, it's at noon, 12 o'clock every day, and it goes till 12:30. Then they have a passing period of 5 minutes, so they actually have an extra 5 minutes. And then they go to their 6th period course. So there's more than enough time. We get the kids in and out of there in about 10 minutes so that they can get their food and then they can find a place to eat and they can eat their food. And if you are finding anytime a child comes home and they say, oh, there was no food left, or, oh my gosh, I wasn't able to get into the line, please contact the school and talk to the assistant principal so we can find out what's going on, because we certainly want to make sure your children are eating during the day. They can still get their lunch. They just need to have your child memorize their student ID number. You know, if they pull it up on their phone, because we don't want the phones out there in lunchtime, but if they pull it up on their phone, but if they can just memorize their ID number, they can punch it in. The best way to do it is have their ID card though. That way they scan it.
What's gonna be the protocol for like emergency, crisis, school lockdown?
Yeah.
Earthquake?
Great question. The question is regards to emergency and safety procedures. Lauren Choi, she's our assistant principal. She heads our safety team, as well as we have a teacher focus group that is in charge of safety and discipline. And they put together, there are four emergency drills once a quarter. Those drills cover how we do lockdown procedures. What's that?
For us, for parents, notification, pickup,
All of our emergency drills they happen during the course of the day. So are you wondering do we notify a parent when we do these emergency drills?
Or how would the pickup be?
It's not gonna affect anything.
Releasing of the student.
So I think I'm understanding your question. You're not asking about how we do our emergency practice drills. You're talking about in the case of an actual emergency.
Right.
Got it. So all of our teachers, this will help answer this. We practice safety drills throughout the entire year. We do the Great Shakeout. And let's just say it's the Great Shakeout drill, and that happens sometime in October. We have all of our teachers evacuate the kids. We mimic a Great Shakeout, right? We've been doing it since elementary school. But out there, the teachers all have a job to do, and we train the teachers in the job that they have to do. They have to be with their kids. They have attendance. They have the evacuation round. But all of our office staff also have jobs that they have to do. We have the attendance clerks out there. We have our health clerk out there. Our APs are out there. And everybody has a job in terms of communicating. So it is that person's specific job to communicate with the parent what is going on. And that information goes out to parents. First thing for us is to make sure all of our kids are safe in an actual emergency. Then we also work with Cypress PD on if it's an active shooter. We have drills that we do 4 times a year to make sure that our teachers know what to do in the case of an active shooter. But realistically, the first thing we do is we want to make sure that our kids are safe, right? Because in a horrible situation like that, you cannot, very difficult to think about what you're actually going to do until something like that happens. So we can only plan as best as we can. For exits, we work with various communities, or community centers, so that we have like a safe drop-off area, like if we have to go out to that area. We stay in the classrooms, we lock up the classrooms until the lockdown is lifted. There are 3 notifications. Okay, there's 3 different lockdowns, lockdown 1, 2, and 3. The third one is the horrible like active shooter on a campus. And that protocol is we are in our classrooms and we are locked down. Everybody's locked down. And the police are on our campus. And if the police are on our campus, they're taking over. So at that particular point, we're not, and I want to notify parents, but at that particular point, truth be told, we are making sure that everybody on campus is safe. And then once that situation is ended, then we have to go through that communication process. And I hate to say it like that, but at that point, the police are taking over. If we have lockdowns 1 and 2, they have different levels. Lockdown 1 is like notification that maybe there's something in the community, right? So kids might be staying inside, right? Lockdown 2 might be that there is something a little bit more active, like actual police activity in the area, right? And so we need to make sure that the kids are doing those types of things. When these things happen, we share with the community. I'll send an email out. We had a situation, it was a lockdown. That way the kids don't come home and they share with you what their experiences are and like, oh my gosh, what happened? Everything was locked down. But you as the parent hear from the administration. This is what happened. There was police activity in the area. We had to shut down and lock down for a few minutes. And then we were okay. We got the green light from the police department and everything was okay. Did that help answer your question?
I have several questions from the chat. First one, will there be a crossing guard at Orange?
That's a city thing. There's typically a crossing guard at Orange. I've seen them all last year. But the city puts that, they're the ones who put that crossing guard there.
So for late start day, what time could students get breakfast? What time is breakfast available on late start?
I will have to, can you respond back to that parent? We will have to get back to that parent.
Perfect.
Okay,
And then minimum days, they're used to minimum days being something different. When are minimum days at the junior high level?
minimum days are at the quarter marks. The quarter marks at the end of the quarter, first quarter end, first semester end, third quarter end, and then the final semester.
And then one last question, makeup picture day for IDs.
Oh my gosh, you guys are asking me all these questions. I'm really going into the depths of my brain right now to get all these answers for you. Ms. Bernhardt, do we know when the makeup picture day is? There we go. You see, that's why I have two great assistant principals. September 1st. Yes. Yes, I will be happy to talk about our cell phone policy. Our cell phone policy is this. When the kids come on campus, we ask the kids to put their cell phones away in their backpacks turned off. And we ask them to keep them put away all the way through the extension of the entire day, even through lunch and passing period. And then at the end of the day, they can take it out and then they can call mom and dad or do whatever they need to do. In the classrooms, the teachers, if they have specific assignments, they want the cell phones out, that's up to the teachers to share that with the kids. And so the teachers can dictate what happens in the classroom. In the case of an emergency, we do have the phone from the phones in the office that kids can use to call home. What ends up happening is this. Kids are allowed to use their cell phones throughout the entire day. Things happen at lunchtime, posting Instagram things, and it causes a lot of drama. But the other thing is they'll text mom and dad and will say, Mom, Dad, come pick me up. I don't feel good. I'm sick. And then all of a sudden, mom and dad shows up and we have no idea where the child is, right? They're in a class or they're in a bathroom or something like that. So what we end up doing is it's better for the process for the child to come up to the health office, let the health clerk know that they're not feeling well, which is our process, and then the health clerk will call you. And so if there's an emergency that the child needs, they're always welcome to use the phones in the office. Does that help? Yes. There's options. So the question was, in a nutshell, the question is there going to be options in regards to the food, right? So in this particular case, her daughter did not care for the orange chicken from yesterday. So that's okay. Everybody has different tastes. There are definitely options. Like I said, if they're more of a quesadilla person, there's quesadillas. If they have burritos, and they have, and the options for the hot lunches, they change. So like I said before, the big hit on campus is the nachos. So nacho time, everybody lines up. But yes, there are definitely options for your child, and she can pick and choose what she would like to eat. Yes. Yes, it is. 225 always is the end of the day.
Can you talk about the library hours and when kids could go into the library, including on late start days?
Our library is open. We do have sometimes we do hold our meetings in the library, which makes it really difficult for kids to be in there, especially on our all staff days and some of our other professional development days. So unable to come into the library for the late start days, but after school, we generally have the library open for about 45 minutes to an hour. And we have our media tech in there, and we also have the homework club in there. Yes.
I think the best for the teacher is, they have to learn how to do whatever they have to do. Not even in our house, we could, and they want something else outside of the house. They would not come to.
I have 3 kids and they do the same thing. So especially my youngest one, who's a 6th grader, so it's kind of a running joke in the family, right? So we try to do our best to help with the food for all the kids. And our kitchen staff does a wonderful job in making their food. And so we do have lots of options for the kids. Thank you. Yes. We do have vegetarian options, absolutely. Yes. For sure. Any other questions regarding food or otherwise? Late starts, it's what we're here for, because like I said, this was an important meeting for us to have, especially since we're coming back to school after not being in school for quite a long time. Questions? Questions from the virtual? Yes.
I have a question about with pick up and drop off. It says no stopping or parking on the bird.
Mm-hmm.
Are you allowed to stop there?
You're not technically.
Okay.
And I advise against it because the people drive very fast down Orange. And just for your safety and for the safety of your child, we encourage everybody to not do that. I mean, you know, we do have police out there at times as well, and they will give warnings and they will ticket. But we ask that if you're going to drop off your child, just go along the yellow curb right here. Mind the sidewalk because we do have kids crossing in front of cars. We have our campus aide there who does a great job holding on and making sure the kids are all safe. And then that second lane is for the exit. And remember, there are 2 left turn lanes. Sometimes we get bogged down because people think there's only 1, but we have 2. And then we, of course, have kids coming from both sides. So, yes. And again, our priority is to make sure the kids are safe and they get on campus safe. So we want to hope that our parents are not just zooming down Orange and, you know, opening the door and out of the car and all of that stuff. Please be safe, drive slowly, and then and make sure your kids are okay. I'm just joking. I know nobody in here would ever do that, so we're good. And at home too. Okay. Any questions? Yes. Yes, Ms. Bernhardt will be putting out information for clubs for our club rush, and all the kids will have opportunities to join clubs. And if they're interested in creating a club that we do not have on our campus, there's a process for that too. And they can simply talk to an advisor, a teacher, say, I want to do this club. And if that teacher is okay with it and wants to be the advisor and they have some friends that can do it, there's a process for that too. They can all see Ms. Bernhardt. She'll be able to help them out with that. Yes, lots of fun. All right. I think that's it. I think we asked a lot of questions and a lot of answers. And if we didn't get your question answered, I see the hand. If you didn't get your question answered, then reach out to us. Mr. Barba is a great resource for you. And of course, all of us, we are all on the website and our emails. You can always reach out to the 2 assistant principals, and you can always reach out to me. We respond back to our emails within 24 hours. And you can always reach out to our office staff as well. Jonathan, was there one last question?
Sorry, 2 questions. Is the cafeteria not free?
The cafeteria is free.
Not free. Peanuts for allergies? Not free.
I'm concerned. I heard not. And she said nut curry. Got it. Have that teacher contact Ms. Bernhardt, have that parent contact Ms. Bernhardt so we can help with that specific question. And what's the second one?
And then the last question, are staff and students going to be required to get vaccinated?
So that was from earlier in the conversation. Students, no. That is a parental decision as to whether or not you want to vaccinate your own child based upon whatever guidelines and so forth that you are. We will not be asking for student vaccinations for COVID. For teachers, this is an ongoing conversation. And based upon the news that I shared earlier, you know, if you tune into the AUHSD board meetings to get more information as this comes out and comes to play. But it does not have to go into effect until, I believe I said, October 15th. Is that it, Jonathan? All right. You guys have been amazing. Thank you. Oh, one more question.
I saw the schedule for my child and I saw he's inquired what he wants to be back. So
Right now, we're not making any schedule changes in terms of moving students around from electives to electives. If it's something like that, just stick around. I'll talk to you a little bit afterwards, but we are not making any schedule changes. So I'll hear a little bit more about what you have to say. Okay, and then we can go from there. Any other questions? Thank you guys so much. You guys have been amazing. We've had about 200 people. Thank you, everybody at home. We're recording this, so we're gonna be able to play this if you want to look back on this and see how I misunderstood the words and so on and so forth. But again, thank you. I'm so appreciative that you are here today and appreciative that your kids are here. Thank you, everyone.